She came to the station to report her daughter missing. They told her to sit down. Then they cuffed her. An hour later, her fingerprints were in the system. 2 hours later, she was charged with neglect. By midnight, they claimed her child never existed. But one officer made a mistake. He left the intake file open. And she remembered every line, including the part they never expected her to read. Subject listed as unstable. Prior note, may be lying. Black female. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from. The hallway inside the station smelled like old carpet and damp paper. Jasmine Clark sat quietly on the metal bench outside room 3A, fingers pressed into her knees, jaw locked tight. She had arrived 42 minutes ago. No one had offered her water. No one had asked her what happened. She had told the desk sergeant that her daughter was missing. He had raised an eyebrow. How long? 3 hours. That's not missing. That's late. She's 9. That changed nothing. He still told her to take a seat. Now she watched the door to the back offices, waiting for someone, anyone, to care. At exactly 6:17 p.m., 2 officers stepped into the hallway. One was thin, white, with gray hair and mirrored sunglasses perched on his head. The other, younger, Hispanic, silent. Miss Clark? Come with us. She stood quickly, brushing off her jeans. Her voice cracked as she followed them. I just need to file the report. Her name is Nia. She didn't come home from school. The older officer didn't look back. We'll get to that. Inside the interview room, she was asked to sit. Then they closed the door. Locked it. No one took notes. The questions came fast. Did you check with neighbors? Have you ever left her alone before? Any history of family conflict? Are you currently employed? She tried to keep up, tried to answer. But something shifted around minute 10. The tone, the pauses between questions, the way the younger one stopped looking at her. Then the folder appeared. What's that? Just a few things we found. He slid it toward her. Inside, a printed social services report from 6 years ago, a note from a doctor's office she didn't remember, and a traffic citation from 2019. She frowned. What does any of this have to do with it? Click. The cuffs were on her wrist before she finished the sentence. She stared at them. What are you doing? We're placing you under temporary hold for questioning. Possible endangerment. You weren't clear about where your daughter was last seen. I told you she was missing. That's not what this says. He flipped the page. The report he had written while she sat waiting outside. Subject inconsistent. Daughter's existence unconfirmed. No matching school enrollment. No emergency contact verified. Jasmine blinked. That's not true. She goes to Oliver Elementary. Room 203. Ms. Lancer is her teacher. The officer smiled faintly. We checked. No one by that name enrolled. She froze. No sound came out. Just the pounding in her ears. She whispered, What are you doing? But she already knew. They weren't looking for Nia. They were erasing her. They moved her into a holding room with a concrete bench, no windows, no clock. Jasmine asked for a phone. They told her to wait. She asked for water. They didn't answer. An hour passed. Maybe more. Her wrists ached from the cuffs. Her mouth was dry. Finally, the door opened. A woman in a navy blazer stepped inside, not in uniform. Miss Clark, I'm Agent Monroe with Child Services. We're here to assess your statements. I'm not under investigation. My daughter is missing. Monroe smiled thinly. That's exactly what we're trying to confirm. She placed a folder on the table. Again, Jasmine looked inside. Again, something was wrong. School, blank. Medical, no active pediatric records found. Photo, none. Where's her school file? We contacted Oliver Elementary. No child named Nia Clark appears in their system. That's not possible. We also ran social security databases. No dependent registered under your name in the last 10 years. Jasmine shook her head. That's a lie. She was born in Mercy County Hospital. August 17th. I was there. I have a birth certificate. Monroe's voice stayed calm. May we see it? It's at home. In a drawer. We searched your residence. No documentation was found. No photos, clothing, or child belongings. Jasmine froze. She whispered, You searched my home? As part of emergency welfare protocol, yes. Your landlord allowed entry. A cold shiver spread down her spine. You took everything. Monroe didn't blink. There was nothing to take. She stood. I'll be back with a medical examiner. In the meantime, think carefully about what you've said under oath. The door closed again. Jasmine stared at the wall. Everything in her mind raced at once. The backpack by the door. Gone. The drawings on the fridge. Gone. The toothbrush in the bathroom. The cereal on the counter. Gone. They hadn't just erased her daughter from records. They'd erased her from reality. Jasmine looked at her wrists. The skin was raw where the cuffs had rubbed. And still, no one had asked the only question that mattered. Where was Nia? She tried to remember the last thing her daughter had said that morning. It was small. Ordinary. Can I wear the blue one today? She'd smiled, tied her braids, kissed her forehead, and then she was gone. Jasmine stood, paced the room, breathed. There had to be a camera. Somewhere. Proof she'd been taken seriously. Proof she existed. But the walls were smooth. Corners clean. Nothing. Finally, she faced the mirror. A one-way glass. She stepped toward it, leaned in, and said quietly, I want to speak to the officer who logged my name. I saw what he wrote, and I remember it all. The door opened 20 minutes later. Not the officer from before. A new one. Younger. Smiling like it was a customer service job. Miss Clark, I hear you requested to speak with Officer Barrow. She stood. Yes. He was the one who filed the report. Officer Barrow's not on shift. Left 2 hours ago. Then bring me someone in charge. I'm afraid that's not how things work right now. He motioned toward the door. But we're ready to process your release. She stared at him. Release? You're not under arrest. Just a welfare hold. And per state code, you're free to leave unless further action is taken. He handed her a form. Jasmine scanned it. Something stuck out. Under Incident Summary, it read, Subject admitted to fabricating child story. No dependent confirmed. Her blood ran cold. This is false. That's your copy. You're welcome to contest it through civilian affairs. I never said that. I never confessed. It's what was recorded. By who? The system. He smiled again. She signed nothing. Just walked past him into the hallway. The precinct looked different now. Smaller. Meaner. At the front desk, the clerk looked up lazily. You're free to go. Do you need an escort? She didn't answer. Outside, the sun hit her face like a slap. She stood still for a moment, then reached into her pocket. Her phone. Gone. Confiscated. She checked the time on the street clock. 10:38 a.m. She'd arrived almost 18 hours ago. She walked 10 blocks to her apartment. The door was unlocked. Inside, the light was on. But nothing else remained. No photos. No drawings. No small shoes by the mat. The walls were bare. Even the toothbrushes were gone. Only one thing had been left behind. A single folded note on the kitchen table. Typed. Not signed. Let it go, Miss Clark. Before it gets worse. Her knees buckled. She dropped to the floor. But not in surrender. Only to breathe. Only to think. Because now she understood something dangerous. They hadn't erased Nia because they didn't believe her. They erased Nia because they did. And what scared them wasn't a lie. It was the truth told by a black woman who refused to disappear. She stood slowly and whispered, You want war? Then you'll have my memory. Jasmine didn't sleep. She spent the night at the bus station. No phone. No ID. Just her daughter's name over and over in her head like a drum. By morning, she knew what she had to do. If they erased the records, she'd start where Nia had last been seen. Oliver Elementary. She arrived just after the first bell. Kids were still filing in. Parents waving goodbye. She approached the front desk calmly. I'm here to speak with Ms. Lancer. Room 203. The secretary looked up. Middle-aged, blonde, distracted. Name? Jasmine Clark. The woman typed something, frowned. We don't have a room 203. Jasmine blinked. Excuse me? We use 4-digit numbering. Our rooms start at 1001. My daughter goes here. Nia Clark. She's 9. Ms. Lancer is her homeroom teacher. Pause. No such teacher on file. That's not true. I've been here. Parent conferences. Twice. Another woman behind the desk stepped forward. African American, younger. Quietly said, I remember you. You came in last fall. You had on a green coat. Jasmine turned, hope rising. Yes, that was me. Nia was struggling in math. You gave me a copy of the workbook. The woman hesitated, then looked down. But we don't have any student by that name. The sentence felt rehearsed. Are you saying she was never here? The blonde woman cut in. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Jasmine stepped back. I'm not causing trouble. I just need one document. Her attendance. Her enrollment form. Ma'am. 2 security officers appeared in the hall. Big. Uniformed. Silent. Jasmine didn't resist. She walked out, but not before she turned to the younger woman and whispered, "I remember your face. And I remember hers." Then she left. At the edge of the parking lot, she stopped and sat on the curb. Children laughed behind her. She took a breath, then reached into her shoe. From beneath the sole, she pulled out a folded receipt. The only thing she still had. Date: 2 weeks ago. Store: Corner Mart. Item 1: children's vitamins. Item 2: braided hair ties. Item 3: apple juice. Item 4: sketchpad, 9 by 12. On the back, in crayon, one word: Mommy. Jasmine stared at it. This was her proof. Not official, not admissible, but real. And now she knew. To find her daughter, she wouldn't need lawyers. She'd need witnesses. The ones who remembered. The ones who hadn't yet been silenced. Jasmine spent the next 12 hours walking. From the school to the park near her building. From the park to the bodega where they bought cereal every Sunday. From there to the laundromat where Nia once spilled orange juice all over a stranger's folded jeans. Everywhere she went, she asked the same question. "Do you remember my daughter?" Most said no. Some paused. One woman, a cashier at the corner store, looked uncomfortable. "Maybe. I'm not sure. You come in alone most times, right?" Jasmine held up the receipt. She drew on this. "Last week." The woman's eyes flicked toward the back camera. "I'm sorry. I really can't get involved." Then she turned away. Jasmine kept walking. By sunset, her legs ached. Her throat was dry. She stopped outside the community center, the one with the murals. That's when she saw her. Miss Tilda, the art volunteer. She was locking the back gate. Jasmine ran to her. "Miss Tilda, wait." The older woman turned, startled. She was in her 60s. Wore a paint-splattered coat even when she wasn't working. Her eyes widened. "Jasmine?" "Yes. Yes, it's me. You remember my daughter, Nia. She came on Saturdays for drawing class." Pause. Then, "Of course. She drew me a horse once. Purple tail. Said it was magic." Jasmine exhaled like a dam had cracked inside her chest. "They're saying she doesn't exist." Tilda frowned. "Who?" "The police. The school. Everyone. They deleted her records. Took everything from my apartment. And now they're saying I made her up." Tilda's face changed. "Jasmine, please. I need you to tell someone. Write it down. Anything." Tilda looked around. The alley was empty. Still, she lowered her voice. "You can't ask me to get involved. Not with police. You just said you remembered her." "I do. But not officially. I don't have records. No sign-in sheet. Nothing with her name on it. Just memories." Jasmine grabbed her hand. "That's enough. Please." Tilda pulled back gently. "I'm sorry. I can't risk it. They came by last night. Asked questions. Said someone filed a false claim in the neighborhood. Said if anyone lied for her, it'd be obstruction." Jasmine's eyes burned. "So you're going to stay quiet?" "I have grandkids, Jasmine." "So did I." Tilda stepped away. "I didn't say I don't remember her." Then she walked off. Left Jasmine standing in the dark. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Not from grief. From fury. Because the truth wasn't just being erased. It was being punished. Jasmine didn't go home that night. She couldn't. There was nothing left to go home to. Instead, she walked until she found the only place she remembered that didn't forget her. The public library on South Ridge Avenue. It was nearly empty when she arrived. One clerk. No security. She sat at the computer farthest from the window. Opened a blank search tab. And stopped. There were 3 names in her head. Her name now. Her daughter's. And the one she hadn't said out loud in 12 years. Monica Jessup. She typed it. Not on Google. On a restricted government portal, one she wasn't supposed to have access to anymore. But she did. Because before Jasmine Clark was a mother, she was a contractor for the Department of Civil Litigation Security, a branch buried 3 layers deep in bureaucracy. A unit that trained analysts in information fraud, document manipulation, and digital disappearance. She hadn't used that access in over a decade. But once opened, some doors never closed. She typed a second command. Flag. Missing person. Clark, Nia. Age 9. Nothing. But she didn't stop there. She switched terminals. Accessed the clearance queue. Then the internal incident log. And there it was. Child record redacted by external request. Case ID sealed. Sealing authorization not standard. No agent ID. No trace. Illegal. And sloppy. She copied the metadata to a flash stick from her boot, then paused, because one line stood out. Sealed under pretext. Instability of source. Racial bias flag equals yes. Suppress review. Jasmine leaned back. So it was there. Proof that someone inside the system had flagged her not because of evidence, but because of skin. She stared at the screen. Hands calm. Breath steady. This wasn't new. It was ancient. But this time, the wrong woman had been underestimated. She closed the window, ejected the drive, and walked out. On the sidewalk, her phone buzzed. It wasn't her number. It was an old line. One from before Nia. Before silence. A text appeared. "We thought you disappeared." She typed back. "They made me." Pause. Then, "Do you want the old tools back?" She stood still, eyes locked on the screen, then typed. "Only one. Name it." Her fingers didn't hesitate. "Find the officer who sealed the file. I want a face." The photo came through at 4:43 a.m. No name. Just a face. Square jaw. Buzz cut. Mid-40s. White. Caption. Seal ID. 908C DR. Lieutenant Mark Dinsley. Internal Affairs. Transferred to Records Suppression Unit, 2021. Jasmine stared at the image. It didn't surprise her. Dinsley had that look. The look of a man who could smile while erasing lives. She dug deeper. Pulled everything she could from public logs, agency cross-servers, even dormant HR metadata. What she found was worse than expected. Dinsley's job wasn't just about deleting. It was about neutralizing. He worked cases involving families, usually compromised guardianship, unstable domesticity, or the most vague of all, public reputation conflict. Translation: people whose presence made the system look bad. People like her. Jasmine printed the photo, folded it into her jacket, and walked downtown. The Records Suppression Unit was hidden inside a bland concrete building. No name on the door, just a single buzzer. She didn't press it. She waited. At exactly 8:01 a.m., a man exited, coffee in hand. Dinsley. She stepped into his path. "Lieutenant Dinsley?" He looked up, annoyed. "Can I help you?" She pulled the photo from her pocket. "This you?" He froze. Only for a second. Then smiled. "Ma'am, I think you're confused." She held up a USB drive. "This contains your signature on a sealed file. My daughter's file. I don't know what you're talking about. You erased her. That's not how this works." "Then explain it." "I don't answer to civilians." "No. You answer to policy. And I helped write it." That got his attention. He studied her. Something flickered behind his eyes. Recognition. Monica Jessup. She didn't flinch. "I know what you did. You used instability code 42-3B. Mental flag based on zero evidence. Then you pulled the school records under false pretext. I was authorized." "By who?" "Internal referral." "Meaning, no warrant, no cause, just suggestion." He didn't deny it. She stepped closer. "You thought I disappeared. You thought she had no one. But you were wrong." He lowered his voice. "If you push this, things will get worse." She smiled, cold. "They already have." Then she walked away. No shouting. No scene. Just truth, weaponized. But she knew what would come next. She'd touch the sender. And the sender always strikes back. The email landed in 3 inboxes at once. Her former employer, her old landlord, and the community center where she once volunteered. Subject: Personnel alert, Monica Jessup aka Jasmine Clark. Security concern. It wasn't signed, but she knew where it came from. Inside the PDF was a redacted report, full of phrases designed to destroy without saying anything real. Emotional instability. Possible fabrication of dependence. Unauthorized data access. Potential radicalization trigger. No evidence, just suggestion. And suggestion was all it took. By noon, her inbox was flooded. One by one, bridges collapsed. "We're suspending all pending housing assistance. We ask that you refrain from visiting the facility during review. We're concerned about the exposure risk to the children. We regret to inform you your contract offer has been withdrawn." None mentioned Nia. None used her daughter's name. Because to them, she didn't exist. And now, neither did Jasmine. She sat in a silent cafe on the edge of the district. One of the few places without cameras. She kept her hoodie up. Watched the door. At 3:07 p.m., a woman entered. Short. Quiet. Carrying a manila envelope. She sat across from Jasmine without a word. Slid the envelope across. Then stood to leave. Jasmine caught her wrist. You sure about this? The woman didn't meet her eyes. I have a son. And then she left. Jasmine opened the file. It was a transcript from an internal meeting 6 months ago. Lieutenant Dinsley has flagged Clark's dependent for deletion pending authorization. Her prior clearance makes this sensitive. Is the child real? Unknown. But risk of exposure outweighs burden of proof. Understood. Proceed. Jasmine's hands shook. They debated her daughter's existence like a technicality, voted on it like a budget, and buried her like a threat. She closed the file, took a breath, then moved. 2 hours later, she walked into the courthouse, asked for a public records request under her legal name, Monica Jessup. The clerk hesitated. That's restricted. I know. That's why I'm here in person. She placed a single form on the counter. It bore an old signature, one only a few could authorize. This unlocks level 3 clearance. The clerk frowned. You're not active personnel. Doesn't matter. This signature was never revoked. The clerk checked the database, paused, then nodded. You'll have 5 minutes. No copying. Jasmine was led into a side room. She sat, typed one word. Clark, Nia. Nothing. Then she typed another. Deleted asset log. Cross-reference. Race-based flag. Maternal conflict. Fabricated instability. And there it was. Case file 11, Bravo 4. Authorized by M. Dinsley. Basis. Unstable informant. Status. Active suppression. Expiry. Never. Her daughter's name was inside. Not as a person. As a liability. She stared at the screen and whispered. They buried her in code. Jasmine didn't go to a lawyer. Didn't post the file online. She went higher. At 7:22 a.m., she entered a government building that didn't exist on any map. Carried only one item, a sealed envelope with her old access seal burned into the wax. The receptionist didn't ask for ID. Just nodded. Room 6. The door was unmarked. Inside, no windows, one table, 3 chairs, and a wall screen. The screen blinked. Then voices came through. Synthetic. Layered. Official. State your name for record. Monica Jessup, formerly known as Jasmine Clark. You are not cleared for direct access. I have information under breach code 11 Bravo 4. Silence. Then. Proceed. She placed the envelope on the table. Inside is the authorization log of a child being erased without warrant, court order, or verified psychological assessment. Target. Nia Clark. Age 9. Civilian. Innocent. Removed due to maternal profile risk and racial classification. You understand this is not a legal tribunal. I don't want a court. I want a record. Then speak. Jasmine stood. Her voice didn't shake. They erased her from the school. From my home. From the system. They buried her name under the word instability because I had the wrong past and the wrong skin. She paused. But I remember everything. And memory is evidence. The screen blinked again. Your clearance expired. You're a civilian now. That didn't stop them from targeting my child. Silence. Then. What do you want? She took a breath. Restoration. Of what? Her name. Her status. Her existence. And what do you offer? She slid a second folder across the table. Everything I know. Everything I kept from public view. Files. Logs. Redacted policies. I'll trade it all. On one condition. Which is, you seal it forever. No exposure. No scandal. Just one correction. Long pause. Then, you will receive confirmation in 48 hours. If verified, subject will be reinstated. Your record will be cleared. Your child will exist again. She nodded. But they weren't finished. There's risk. I understand. If you breach protocol after reinstatement. I won't. This agreement requires silence. I've been silent before. You may go. She stood. Walked out. Didn't speak for the rest of the day. Didn't check messages. Didn't call anyone. Just sat in a library stairwell until nightfall. Then, at 10:44 p.m., her phone lit up. Subject status. Restored. Case 11. Bravo. Foreclosed. She dropped the phone. Not from shock. From relief so sharp it stole the air from her lungs. Nia existed again. Not publicly. Not loudly. But legally. And that was all she needed. One last part remained. To bring her home. The house was different. Same street. Same number. But everything inside had changed. New paint. New tenants. New curtains. But Jasmine recognized the backyard swing. She stood at the gate, her hands cold despite the morning sun. The file she'd received overnight contained only coordinates and a sentence. Placement secured under new guardianship. Pickup permitted under reinstated status. No names. No forms. Only a location. She knocked. A man in his 50s opened the door. Confused. Suspicious. Can I help you? Jasmine held up the document. I'm here for Nia Clark. He froze. Looked over his shoulder. Called into the house. It's her. A woman stepped out behind him. Mid-40s. Nervous. We didn't know, she whispered. They said she had no family. No records. We thought we were helping. Jasmine nodded. You were. She stepped forward. Inside, the house smelled of cereal and new carpet. Then came the sound. Light footsteps. And then, a small figure at the top of the stairs. Hair shorter. Face older than it should have been. Eyes guarded. But still hers. Jasmine didn't move. Didn't speak. Just waited. The girl came down slowly. Stopped a few feet away. Studied her. Then, Mommy? Jasmine fell to her knees. Not from emotion. From gravity. From the weight finally lifting. She opened her arms. Nia stepped in. No fanfare. No music. Just warmth. Just home. Later, in a quiet motel on the edge of town, they sat on the bed sharing crackers. No TV. No phone. Just a sketch pad. Nia drew a horse. Purple tail. Just like before. Jasmine smiled. Still your favorite? Nia nodded. They said you left. I didn't. I know. Silence. Then, will they come back? Jasmine shook her head. No. They got what they wanted. What did they want? Jasmine paused. Silence. Nia looked up. Are we going to be quiet now? Jasmine smiled. For a little while. Just until they moved again. Just until the next name, the next flag, the next mistake. Because the system didn't stop. It just changed targets. But for now, in this moment, her daughter existed. Her name was real. Her story was real. And no one could take that again. Not from them. Not ever. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire action and hope.